Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for being here. My name is QUISPEL, and I am one of the co-founders of Gateway KSA. My partner is His Royal Highness Prince Turki Al Faisal, without which this initiative would never have been possible. For those of you who aren't familiar with Gateway KSA and what we do, I'm going to play a short clip that we recently produced. No doubt many of you will recognize it. I think we're experiencing some technical difficulties. I would like to start this talk by giving a little context on what Gateway KSA is and how it came about. So I think we can probably all agree that Saudi Arabia suffers from a perception problem. Many negative stories and stereotypes are perpetuated through the mainstream international media. It's a continuous negative narrative that makes it very hard for Saudis to shake its image, or more importantly, try and construct a new one in line with its Vision 2030. The people I've spoken to here in Saudi are pretty fair in their assessment. They've told me, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. What they mean to say is that yes, some of these stories have a basis in truth, but are exaggerated and sensationalized. Others are just completely false or made up. No doubt many of you have experienced this on some level when traveling abroad. People asking you questions about your country where you think, wow, do you really think about us like that? Or do you really think that we live like that? It became clear to me that many Saudis I spoke to were tired of being victimized and targeted by the media. That no matter what positive news or achievement the country made, it was always undercut by a but. And I could completely empathize. Even as a frequent visitor, I get asked some pretty bizarre questions about my experience here. I can only imagine how frustrating it can become. So whilst the perception issue is largely a domestic problem for Saudi, there are some larger international issues that I wanted to tackle. Growing issues in Western society that seriously concern me, like the divisiveness between the Middle East and West that is now being spurred on by political agendas, and the growing Islamophobic attitude of the West. Something needed to be done, not by government, but by an independent organization whose objectives were authentic and true. I needed to create a soft power engine that would challenge these sentiments through credible information and the education of people. So what is soft power? Well, it's probably best understood in context with its opposite. That is, hard power. Hard power is when a government uses military or economic might as a coercive method in its foreign diplomacy. This is often by means of force and a hardline stance, using threats, economic sanctions, and other such methods. In contrast, soft power is defined as the ability to shape the preferences of others through appeal and attraction. In other words, a country can shape its image and influence by building networks, positive collaboration, and by communicating compelling narratives that highlight the best attributes of its country. Take a look at this video, for example, that we produced very, very early on for Gateway KSA.
few months ago I received a unique invitation. An invitation that would grant me access to one of the world's most undiscovered countries, Saudi Arabia. Saudi is a nation only accessible to a select few. So as you can imagine, this was an opportunity I really couldn't refuse. Bound for the Middle East, the Saudi initiative Gateway KSA would guide me through an extensive 10-day tour of the best the nation has to offer. I brought my friend Jack along for the ride, and not knowing what to expect, we set our sights for Saudi. With nothing but ourselves, a few cameras, and the promise of the adventure of a lifetime, we made sure we captured every single second.
So whilst the narration in this video is limited, it tells us a few things. Firstly, Saudi Arabia is a country offering adventure, a chance to experience the unknown, and a chance to explore uncharted territory. The visuals of the film highlight the country's beauty and strong sense of culture. And since it was produced by a social media influencer with a significant number of followers, it gives credibility to his experience. It reassures to his audience that he was safe and that it was the experience of a lifetime. This is an example of a compelling narrative. And it was extremely effective. After this film was released, it went viral, and we were inundated with requests to come and visit the kingdom by people around the world. Following its release, it was referred to in one article that Saudi Arabia is turning into a must-visit destination. So how does this affect tourism? Well, you learn much more by experiencing something firsthand than by reading about it or hearing about it from someone else. First-hand experience is very powerful and an effective way to help people formulate and make their own judgments and their own conclusions. We have actually tested this principle and measured the change in people's attitudes before and after their visit to the kingdom. We found that 100% of people had a more positive perception and outlook on the country than they did prior. Not just that, but upon leaving, they effectively became advocates for the country. We have been creating our own spokespeople that would return home and share their amazing experience with their friends, families, and communities. Although we are not a tourism organization, we like to think that what we are doing is a type of educational tourism. Education remains a big part of our strategy and philosophy. We want people to go home with an enhanced understanding and learning of the country, not just to visit the different sites. We work with students from top-tier universities around the world. They are taught to think critically, to engage, and to challenge. They can't be easily fooled or persuaded. They ask the tough questions and then thereby really gain a deeper understanding of this country. This is a long-end soft power play. We want the future leaders and opinion shapers to come and visit Saudi Arabia, so that one day when they hold positions of influence and power, they can be the voice of reason when policy regarding Saudi Arabia or the Middle East is being shaped. We know we can change people's attitudes through education. The educational element we offer speaks to their rational mind, and at the same time, we inspire their hearts and emotional experiences through immersing them in the culture. One aspect we identified in Saudi that makes it very special is your unwavering sense of hospitality. I have experienced it countless times. As a complete stranger to many, I'm invited into people's homes to share a meal with their families. This experience leaves a lasting impact. You may not realize it, but these moments are the ones that have a deep impression and are often the favorite experiences of our delegates. Over the coming year, we will be working on building out Gateway KSA and its programs, and we are excited to be launching many more projects and immersive experiences here in the Kingdom. This will include influencer workshops, where Saudis will be able to learn from some of the world's leading content creators on how to capture footage and connect with brands, as well as working in collaboration with some of the major tourism developments such as the Red Sea Project and NEOM. Over the past year, we have achieved a lot. We have reached audiences globally and already left a mark with our impact. I'd like to show you one last clip that demonstrates our team at Gateway KSA and what they have achieved the past year. So as this country prepares for the opening of tourism, my advice, if you'll take it, is to stay true to your culture. It's an incredibly rich one. For those pursuing a career in tourism, remember, you are directly contributing to the soft power of your country, to creating a more positive perception, and to changing its future relationships internationally. Thank you. So I'm open to taking any questions, if anyone from the audience has any questions at all. No? Yes, sorry. What is the best way to help Gateway KSA as an organization?
Well, my question was, what is the best way to help the organization Gateway KSA? For me, being not part of Saudi Arabia, but from my point of view, helping to get the word out. Let's put it like this, that Saudi Arabia is a fantastic country and change the perception.
So I think one of the things that we're looking at doing is creating as many global partnerships as possible, whether that comes from global corporations or universities. There's many universities that we still want to reach out to, and obviously also businesses. We are currently sponsored actually only by Saudi companies and organizations, and we would like to see a bigger breadth, I guess, in that support. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm
Yes.
going to ask a question.
Yeah, hi, thank you for the very nice presentation, actually. We just would like to understand in what way that we can help you to reach your goals. Like, for example, what for us maybe as an artist or maybe people, you know, who can maybe would like to contribute with you to reach your goal, because I think your ultimate goal is very important for all of us as Saudis. So how can you help us to reach you and to help you? This is my question.
So as I mentioned, over the next year, we want to build out the offerings and the programs that Gateway KSA has. So primarily, we've been focusing on bringing students from abroad to come and visit Saudi. Next year, what I would really like to do is get more interaction with local Saudis and create different programs that are not just with students, but also in the arts, and have that cross-cultural sort of connection. So just getting in contact with us and leaving us your contact details. If you have any ideas or any suggestions on how you would like to contribute, then I'm very open to that. And as I said, I think that we want to create networks and relationships across all sectors. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
I guess I'll ask a question since I have the microphone. I'm right
Oh,
here.
hi, yes.
Obviously, you're in a room filled with Saudis, so you're, I guess, are you trying, your main focus is to attract foreigners to come to the country to enjoy its beauty. Is that the main, if that's the main concern or that's the main achievement, how can we as Saudis help you do that? And have you thought about using cinema as a tool? I'm a filmmaker, and I do believe in the power of cinema as a way to normalize the image of Saudi Arabia, and hence get people thinking, wow, where was this film filmed? Is it in Saudi? Let me go see it. I've seen a lot of movies that are filmed in Jordan or Egypt where they showcase historical monuments, and people Google them after watching the movie and go, well, let's book a trip there. So as a filmmaker and as a Saudi, I would like to know if you guys have any programs with filmmakers to support them, normalize the image of Saudi.
So I recently actually met with the ministry, the new Ministry of Film, and although they're quite recently set up, we've been talking about collaborating, because I think aside from just the influencers, they show beautiful pictures and images, but what we want to do is also tell a story, like what you said, and that is primarily done through film. So whilst we've been this year focused on changing people's attitudes and perceptions internationally, and actually even on the social media reactions from these video clips, you see the responses and they say, wow, Saudi looks amazing, I want to visit. So there's huge interest. And one of the things we've been discussing is perhaps working with international film schools to bring film students to come here. Some that have already won perhaps some accolades or some that are up and coming, so that they can see some of the sites and come and visit, and actually maybe even in future when they big budget film producers can come back and also use some of the sites as a place to shoot their films. So but like I said, if you are able to leave your contact details with us, that would be appreciated, and we would love to have everyone involved. Yeah.
How long did it take you to get the program going, and how many people work with you on a daily basis, if you like, and what is the plans for the future in terms of employing locals and getting local input into what you're doing?
So it's taken probably the best of 3 years to turn this from a concept into an actual program, and you were a big part of that. So I know you know the whole story that we've been through, but we've actually started since November 2017 running the pilot programs and then officially launching with universities. So we've come a long way within probably just 14, 15 months. But the actual branding and the concept and everything, the communications behind it plays a very big part. It's the values and the authenticity that underlies it is very important for us, and to stay true to that throughout the period in which we grow. We currently now have 6 employees, so it's grown from just 2 people and an idea to slowly building out. For me, obviously, I don't want to be on the programs, and I don't run the programs anymore. We have Saudis now. I want the Saudis to be the ambassadors and to be the ones who are showing their country and doing that with pride and being able to take delegations of students around. So we're definitely growing the organization, and it's happening quite quickly now, and we're always looking to hire. So if you have any recommendations or want to get involved, then please come and see us. Is there anyone else? Finished? Oh, there's one more question, I think.
Thank you for the speech. I've been following your Instagram page for a while now, and I like the strategy, I like the idea, how to show Saudi, the strategy of getting people who are going to be a leader in the world or influence a lot of masses. My question is, with the Saudi visa coming in hand, recently, and we have the first batch with the Formula E. I think it's for 1 month now, the visa. They can go across Saudi for 1 month. What's the next step in the strategy? Is it going to be for more mass, for a lot of, for more masses, for a lot of tourists that are going to come in Saudi, or is it going to be the same strategy for a selected few?
So I think we understand that as tourism opens, some of the strategies that we're using now with social media influencers are going to be diluted, simply because there's only so many pictures of Al Ula that you're going to see. And what we're looking at doing is actually working with some of your soft power engines here the Red Sea Project and NEOM are two big projects that are very interesting for us to bring international students to work and collaborate with those projects. So actually build steadfast relationships where it's not just a come and visit, but it's a long-term relationship that they're building with institutions. With, for example, different universities over the long term, and bringing students to come maybe for a month or 3 months and work on these projects. I think that that's where there's a lot of value that we can add. We will continue to run these programs with students and continue to bring influencers probably for the next 6 months. But the influencer programs were particularly targeted to create a lot of exposure and used as a marketing platform. As we gain and build that momentum, I think that we want to step away from that and look at more something that's more robust and more substantial in the long term for Saudi Arabia to build relationships with the international community. Okay, I think we're done. Thank you all for coming.